G'day folks, it's DIY Guy 123 here bringing you another do-it-yourself video. Today we're looking at a 2010 Silverado, and these Chev GM trucks are notorious, and I guess lots of trucks, lots of vehicles are notorious for having water penetrate into the cabin area and end up where your feet are. And usually it's on the passenger side when I find people report about it. I don't know why that is, because geometry of the truck is the same on both sides, but usually people talk about it on the passenger side. So I'm going to talk about ways that water can get in and how you can diagnose it and what you can do to resolve it. And this vehicle had some water in the front passenger side, and the symptom was the person started the truck after it had been sitting for about a month outside. They started the truck, and when they turned the defroster on, not the defroster, but when they turned the fan on down at your feet, the floor vent, water came out of the floor vent, which is kind of unusual that it would collect there until the fan comes on, and it soaked the whole carpet. And you can see that it's probably happened a few times because there's some pretty good rust there. So why would that happen? Well, of course, rains down on the truck and hits the windshield and rolls down the windshield. And of course your windshield wipers are here, and there's normally a cowling here it's perforated, it's got some holes in it. And that's so that water can get through the cowling, but dirt and debris and leaves and branches and potato chip bags and Tim Hortons coffee cups can't get through, because down below here, there's an area that I'm going to show you that has drain vents in it, and you don't want those drain vents to get clogged. So let's get this hood open up and I'll show you what's up. Okay, so here we've got a view with the cowling removed. Now, in order to remove it, I had to take the windshield wipers off and a couple screws and some bolts. And the cowling is plastic. It's got some clips that it has to slide off of. Just be tender with it. Don't break it, because, you know, certainly with an older truck, you're probably not going to find another match for it. And a newer truck, they'd be expensive anyway, so you just don't want to break it. So get the cowling off, and the first thing you're going to want to do is look down in this area on both sides of the vehicle. Look down in there to see if there's any leaves, debris, any of that kind of stuff. Now, if the cowling was perfectly intact without cracks, it's probably pretty clean down there. But anyway, that is what you want to check. And then the next thing on the other side, check for the same thing. What is a common problem is when dirt gets down there, it will get down on either side, so it's kind of hard for me to see. You can't actually see it. I stuck my camera down there and took a picture at this angle, and I can see the valve. Now, there's a flapper valve, a rubber valve that's normally closed, and when water pressure gets up against it, it just moves out of the way and water drains, and then when the water stops draining, it'll close again. And that valve is down here, down in there on both sides of the vehicle. So there's one over here and one over there. I stuck my camera down in here facing that way, took a couple pictures, and it's absolutely clear. So make sure that is cleared out. The next thing is this little cover right here, and I don't know what it's for, but it is notorious for leaking. There's some kind of a foam gasket under there, and after 10-20 years the gasket rots out and goes away, and you could replace the gasket and maybe you could seal it up, or you might have to replace it, you know, every so many years, or you could just run a bead of silicone caulking around here, waterproof stuff, of course, all around the perimeter. That's what's been done here, and so that won't leak anymore. We believe that was the problem. So after that's done, and there were no leaves in those blocking those vents, we can't get this car to leak anymore. So we've talked about the vents, keeping them clear, this area keeping it clear. What are you going to do if you've checked all that and that's not a problem? Well, you want to run a garden hose over the windshield, and instead of just spraying the whole truck, start down low. Start spraying this area, spraying in there, all around the bottom of the windshield. Do that for a few minutes while someone's watching on the inside. Then you're going to start with the door closed, of course. start spraying up here, because you could have a failed door seal. You could have a wrinkle in your door seal. And so start spraying up here, and it's really helpful to have somebody inside watching the whole time, and as soon as there's a leak they see, knock on the window to get you to stop spraying the hose. So continue up here and then move along the inside of the windshield. And don't be in a hurry to do this. It's going to take you several minutes to go through this whole area of the car, because when you eventually get to a spot where you're draining water over the leak, without any big pressure, it's probably going to take a while to actually get enough water so that you can see it down on the floor. Okay, so you've done all of that and done all around the windshield. You want to look at your roof line and see if there's anything there that's a problem. Well, there's an antenna on the far side of the roof. In this case, it's unlikely that a leak over at that antenna is going to cause water on the passenger side, but you never know, so spray around there. Certainly up against the windows, the window seal, any of that, you want to spray that. And what can happen is on the bottom of the doors, there are these drain holes. There's one right there. Oh, camera will pick it up. There's one right there. Those drain holes are supposed to remain clear so that when water gets in the door and the inside of the door, like between the glass and this seal, it can get down there. You want the water to be able to drain out. I've seen those drain holes completely plugged with leaves and sticks and debris. And what happens then? Well, water builds up inside the door, and eventually it will get so full that it comes out through the trim work somewhere. And if that leak happens to be on top of this door seal, you'll get water to actually drip on the inside of the vehicle. The last thing I'm going to talk about as far as an external water protrusion is, I've heard, I haven't seen it myself, I've heard somewhere, heard from people that if your door seal is faulty, water can get in here. Well, it will get in there because it's just flexible. Will get in here, and then it will get behind this part of the door seal and migrate under the door seal here, and as it's coming along this vertical surface, turn and go inside of the vehicle and drip out down near the bottom. And that would be a very hard thing to diagnose. So that is something that you would need to take your time to kind of peel the trim back. If you find the source of water, peel the trim back until you stop seeing water, and that would be the location where water was protruding underneath the door seal. So that's all I can tell you about external leaks getting into the front of a vehicle. The last detail is, if it's a case where you're using your air conditioner frequently, you may have a plugged drain vent that leads from the condenser of your, or maybe it's the evaporator, I guess, of your air conditioning system. There's supposed to be a drain from the passenger compartment out through the vehicle, and that's why when cars have the air conditioning running on a hot day and then they pull away, you see this puddle. It's because water condensed through that process and drained out. If that hose is either pulled off of the collection area, or the hose is blocked, or it has a split in it that's inside the vehicle, that water isn't going to drain through the hose. It's going to drop onto the floor panel. So look, that's a few tips there. I know I didn't show you me actually doing the water test, but hopefully you can imagine what I was talking about. Hopefully it helps you out. If it does, please leave a comment. Good luck with your do-it-yourself projects.